Hi, everybody. So it's really exciting. We are here to talk about the latest episode of Doctor Who. This is called Extremis or Extremis. I can't remember. And yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. My friend Jonathan's here to break it down. Thank goodness, because I couldn't do it by myself for this one. Do you want to say hi?
Hello.
So this episode, I admit, is kind of, I feel like it's out of my pay grade. It's above my pay grade. The rest of the episodes this season have been kind of, I feel like, pretty accessible to to new viewers. But this one, I, I was pretty confused most of the time.
I noticed quite a few things that I figured you would have questions about.
So I didn't really have a real, we're going to talk about overall thoughts, but I didn't really have a whole lot of overall thoughts because I didn't really understand it. It's like hard to have a real strong opinion about it. It felt very Stephen Moffat-ish to me.
I agree, but I thought it felt like Stephen Moffat in the best possible way. This is
Yeah.
the kind of episode that I like from him.
Interesting.
I loved the twists.
Yeah, I'm not I almost never like twists. I'm just not a
Oh, okay.
twist. I'm not
I
a
loved
twist
twists.
person. That's part of the reason why I don't like Shyamalan movies is, I don't know, they just annoy me.
Okay.
Every once in a while, someone can pull it off and it works. But I don't know, just in general, I don't like being kind of manipulated and tricked. Uh,
I love getting to the end of something and being absolutely shocked. I love that. I love
yeah.
when that happens, and I loved it in this episode.
Interesting. Yeah, my friend Richard, who does a bunch of podcasts with me, one of my good friends, he was on the opposite side of. He's a huge Doctor Who fan. He was on the opposite side of this debate. I'll put up a post to his blog on the description section. But since I didn't really have a strong opinion, he said I thought I'd read some of what he said.
Okay.
That he said this episode was trying too hard to be clever and instead came off as a mess. And he said the switching back and forth between nonlinear events and the random twists were just frustrating. So it's
That
kind of the
that is
opposite end of the
That I
spectrum.
that I agree with a little bit. I loved all the flashbacks, but I would have rather had them be their own separate episode
Hmm.
instead of going back and forth between the flashbacks and the present day, because they didn't really have that much to do with what was going on in present day.
Right,
So
that's what I felt, but I didn't know enough to know.
it was kind of random. And while I loved them, I loved everything that happened in them. I loved Missy. I love her. She's great. So I
Yeah,
love the flashbacks, but I would have been happier had they been their own episode. And then the thing at the end where he's talking to her through the vault, that could have been like the big reveal. Like he could have been talking to her, and then like the last word of the episode have been Missy to reveal that she's
yeah,
the one he was talking to. So they could have still kept most of it the same. I don't know. It worked, but I would have rather had two separate episodes for it.
yeah. I kind of felt that too, even though I didn't really understand. I kind of felt that way
Hmm.
as well. So let's talk about it. So we learned that Missy is the person in the vault. So fill us in on who Missy is. Why does this is this like a huge epic reveal for Doctor Who fans, or is this like okay?
It's For me, it's predictable because I figured it was her a while back. So Missy is the Master. The Master is a character from Doctor who has been around since the early series. The Master is another Time Lord, and he has been the Doctor's greatest foe, but he's also the Doctor's oldest friend. So they grew up together on Gallifrey, and the Master kind of went insane. So the Doctor still loves the Master. They're best friends, and he wants to redeem him. Like every time they meet up again, he's trying to get the Master to become good, but
It's
it
like
never.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, he does everything he can to get him to come around to being on his side, but it never works. And I feel like that's probably what his end game is by keeping Missy in this vault. he probably thinks in some way that he can get her to reform and become good. But I watched an interview a little bit ago with Michelle Gomez, who plays Missy, and she said that the Doctor and the Master's relationship is like the story of the frog and the scorpion. Do you know the story? The frog is
No.
trying to get across the river, but he can't. There's no boats left. The scorpion says that he'll take the frog, and he convinces the frog to come on his back. And halfway across the river, the scorpion stabs the frog, and
Oh yeah, I've heard variations on that story.
the frog asks, "Why
Yeah.
did you do that?" And the scorpion says, "Because I'm a scorpion."
Yeah.
So she says that the Doctor and Missy is the same way. Missy is the scorpion.
Interesting. Yeah, because one of the points that Richard had made, he said that I must be too on edge for when John Sims' master is going to turn up. Now that we know it's not him in the vault. First, I thought he was the priest at Missy's execution. So, are there multiple masters running around, or just the one, or what does he mean by that? Do you think?
Well, I think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot by revealing that John Sim was coming back to the show. John Sim is the person who played the Master a few seasons ago. Like, the Master is a Time Lord, so the Master regenerates just like the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So every few seasons there'll be a new person playing the Master. It is now Missy because the Master regenerated and is now Missy. But John Sim was the person who played the Master right before Missy. So much like they've had multiple Doctors meet in episodes before, like they've had different Doctors cross each other's timelines and work together to stop an alien threat or something. They're doing the same thing. I think, as far as I know, this is the first time I've had two different actors who played the Master meet. So it's kind of a big deal, and I feel like they shouldn't have revealed that. It was like a huge news article, but it was a huge spoiler to say that there's going to be two Masters in one episode. So I thought that's what they're talking about in their review.
Okay.
They're just waiting for John Sim to show up, and we know it's coming, but we don't know when it's coming.
Okay. Is Missy a character you've seen before in other episodes, though?
Yes, Missy has been around since the first season with Peter Capaldi.
Okay.
It was kind of she was one of those huge twists that Moffat loves, because Missy was showing up all over the first season, and nobody knew who she was. And then in the last episode, or maybe the second to last episode, she reveals that she's actually the Master. And because we've never seen the Master female before, it was a huge shocking revelation at the end of the episode. So it was one of Moffat's famous shocking twist endings. But she's been coming around ever since then.
Okay.
And for me, she's one of my favorite incarnations of the Master, because she's just so diabolically evil and hilarious at the same time.
Cool. That's cool. I didn't know any of that, so obviously I was pretty confused.
Mm-hmm.
But it is confusing, I think, even if you do know about that, to the way like you were saying, the way it switches around from the modern episode to this other, scene, this execution scene.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that there's more to the story than we actually know, and I have a feeling that they're going to be looking more into that in coming episodes.
Mm-hmm.
In the same, the interview I was watching with Michelle Gomez is the Doctor Who YouTube channel. They have a show called The Fan Show afterwards. So I was watching that right before we got on here, and I can't remember his name. One of the guys who worked on the episode was on there, and he said that they always planned to reveal it was Missy in the vault quite early, because the mystery is going to be changing to what has been going on, what Missy's doing in there, what's happening to her while she's in there. So there's more going on with Missy in the vault than just she's locked in the vault.
Well, aren't we halfway down the season, though?
Yes.
So there's not that much time left. So.
He says that they've sort of structured three parts to the season. Like the first part is getting to know Bill. The second part is more unfolding of stuff with what's going on now in these episodes. And then a last part that is yet to be revealed.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. So then we get into our modern section or whatever, other plot B, or and we have, it was pretty funny when Bill has a date over and
Mm-hmm.
she goes into her room and the Pope is in her room. That was pretty funny. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Did you think that was funny?
Yeah, it probably wasn't. I didn't think it was quite as funny as I think the writers thought it was funny, but it was amusing.
Yeah, it made me
And
laugh.
I felt bad for her date.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. It made me laugh. But basically, there is this this text called Veritas that anyone who reads it commits suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to find out what's going on, and they end up in this portal that takes you to all these different places, and they go to they go to the Vatican, and then the Vatican, one of the priests emails the Veritas to the CERN,
Mm-hmm.
Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. And there's this whole scene of all of the scientists are gonna commit suicide. They're gonna explode, and they have these bombs underneath their desks. And I don't know. Did any of that work for you? Did you like it?
Oh, yes. I thought it was really creepy, especially when they were all saying the same numbers at the same time. I could not. I think the reason I love the twist so much is because I could not figure out what was going on, and I have a problem with figuring out the ends of things. I always figure out the ends of episodes of shows or movies, and it always kind of bugs me. I mean, I'm happy that I feel like I'm smart enough to have figured out what they're going for, but I love it when I cannot figure out what is going on. And when they all started saying the same numbers together, that was like chills. It's so creepy and weird, and I don't know what's going on, and I loved it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of just confused in general, so it's hard to say what my experience was. I did like what Richard says, though. He says that I found myself thinking of what the Veritas might say that would drive anyone who read it to commit suicide. Maybe we'll keep getting Transformers sequels for the next 100 years. That was a pretty good line. So yeah, I mean, there was some creepiness to it with all of them trying to commit suicide. There was definitely some dark imagery and everything like that. And you find out that we find out that that they're all just sort of, that this is a simulation of life. This isn't real life. And you find that out when Nardole steps off of the projection and he like disintegrates, which I thought was actually a pretty cool looking special effect, the way they did that. I know I was still kind of confused at that point, but anyway, so like, did you like this idea that was all a simulation?
Yes, because I did not see it coming. Like I said, I love twists, and I was trying for the life of me to figure out how any of this made sense, because so much of it did not make sense. And I was probably as confused as you were with a lot of it. Until the very end, I was like, so this whole time, nothing has been real. And I did not see that coming, and I thought it was a brilliant twist.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked, and I loved being shocked.
Cool. That's awesome. What about it to you, sort of the idea of these aliens trying to like do like a like creating this simulated world to sort of create a mock attack? Like, I guess what part of you was this most surprising? Was just like, I don't know.
I guess the most surprising thing was that we've been watching all of these characters this entire episode, and it turns out we haven't been watching the real characters at all. We've been watching these things that think they are the characters that we've been watching the past few episodes. So they're basically the same character, but they're not the same character at all. And this whole time we thought they were the characters of Doctor Who, and they were not.
Right.
And I just thought that was just a brilliant twist.
Cool. Yeah, Richard was not a fan of this twist, as you know from reading, but he just says, oh no, planet Earth is under attack again by a bunch of bland, nameless aliens that we know nothing about. That is true. They didn't really tell us anything about these aliens, of why they wanted to attack, why they would go to all this effort to create the simulation. What were they looking for?
Well, I'm pretty sure that this is what I read, that there's a 3-part episode or 3-part story coming up, and I'm pretty sure that this was the first part of that. So we'll probably get a lot more information in the next episode of what's going on, who these aliens are. I will say, though, I was not quite a fan of what the aliens looked like. They just seemed like a reuse of so many other designs we've seen before. Like, we've had monk aliens before, we've had mummy-looking aliens before, we've had practically faceless-looking aliens before, and it was just like they took all these other designs we've already seen and scrambled them up and gave us this boring-looking monk alien. And I was not a big fan of the aliens. I wish they would have come up with something cooler, something we haven't seen before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Richard says they wasted a great deal of time building complex computer simulations to decide how they are going to defeat humanity and the Doctor, when there should surely be a simpler way to figure out their strategy if they already have the information necessary to make those simulations in the first place. And that's kind of a valid point, that if you have the sort of the information about mankind to make the simulation, surely then you have the information to defeat them, right?
Yeah, that's true, but I don't care because I liked the episode anyway. I thought it was brilliant. I really liked it. So there probably is a much simpler way, and it was very convoluted the way they went about trying to figure out how to defeat humanity, but I liked it anyway, so I don't care.
Okay, fair enough. So let's see here. What else did I have? Okay, this is, I thought, an interesting point that I wanted to talk about. He says that where is the he says, I was plagued by the frustration for much of this episode, and some of it was fueled by the Doctor's constant dishonesty about his blindness. I know the Doctor has to lie from time to time, but he doesn't normally do it so continuously. What do you think about that?
I guess I kind of agree, but it seemed kind of in character with what some of the things he's done before, so it didn't really bother me that much. I mean, I wish he would be more honest, and I wish he would tell Bill that he's blind now, but oh well.
Yeah, is she kind of stupid for not realizing it, though, too, don't you think?
Maybe, but I think he did a good enough job pretending, and he always has an air of confidence about him, so he's good at mostly good at pretending that he can see. Especially because he has the glasses that help him get around. So as long as he puts on enough confidence, I think I would probably be tricked too.
Okay. Let's see. Where did I get this? I can't remember where I found this, but that it was a quote. It says that Nardal's presence with the Doctor throughout Series 10 is explained as a continuation of the Husbands of River Song, with River Song having ordered Nardal to prevent the Doctor from taking extreme actions after her death, like going into the Extremis. Nardal is shown reading from River Song's TARDIS-style diary, first seen in the 10th Doctor story Silence of the Library. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts about that?
I really like that. It's that's another thing that I knew you weren't going to really understand. Um, so
It's Greek to
the
me. Explain it.
the doctor and River were they're for all intents and purposes they were husband and wife, and the doctor in the episode The Husbands of River Song stayed with River for I think around 20 years. They lived together on the planet Beryllium.
Okay.
So the Doctor and River had met many times during the 11th Doctor's time as the Doctor. So that was when they got married. So they were crossing each other's timelines so many times, and by the end of that, I think the Doctor thought he was never going to see her again. But there was also the very first time he met River, he knew that it was going to be the last time that he met her, and the way she talked about him being sad to see her go, and I think she might have mentioned the planet Beryllium. So he decided that he was going to stay there because she talked about it being the last day. But I think the way they said it was a day less an equivalent of Earth's 20 years on Earth on Beryllium. So he
Hmm.
stayed with her for that day, which was 20 years. So they had 20 years together where they lived together. And I'm thinking during that time is when he brought Nardole back, because I had thought Nardole was dead, and I'm still not completely sure what all happened there, but he undeaded Nardole somehow. And so River obviously knew Nardole, and she told him when she left to go meet the Doctor for the first time to stop him, or to help him stop Missy from being executed. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, and I think that'll more of that will be explained later, because I want to know, what did Missy do to these people to earn
Mm.
execution? I'm
Yeah.
still not I'm still not 100% sure what was going on there, or why River told Nardole to stop her from being executed.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that we'll see River Song somehow, some way again by
I
the end of the episode or end of the
I
seasons?
kind of hope so, because I just love River Song and I want to see her again. I know her story is for all intents and purposes over, but she's crosses over his timeline so many times. She's a time traveler, so who's to say they didn't meet again during some time? I don't know, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing with time travelers, you can meet them at any point in their life. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping we'll see her again somehow, and I'm hoping we'll get some more answers on why she had Nardole rescue Missy. Because
Okay.
River Song is the kind of person who, if Missy did something bad enough, I could see River Song being completely okay with her being executed. So I want to know what exactly happened and why she wants her saved now. Because River Song is a lot more, I don't know, wanting of justice than the Doctor sometimes. Like, the Doctor usually doesn't carry a gun, but River Song always has a gun. She's that kind of person. So I don't know. Something had to have happened for her to tell Nardole to save Missy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, and so was there any connection between the events of the simulation and of the Veritas and the execution, or do you think they just kind of had to fit that in, sort of Age of
I
Ultron style?
I get the feeling that they just kind of had to fit that in, because there was no crossover except for the end when the Doctor goes and talks to Missy in the vault, which is why I said that they could have just had that be the reveal at the end, that he's talking to her. Because by the end, you know that Missy's in the vault, and you know that's who he's talking to. So there was really no reason for the flashbacks to happen in connection with what's going on in the simulation.
Because the Doctor has no romantic relationship with Missy,
No.
just River Song, right?
Missy was the master, and they were best friends as kids. That's their relationship. There's no romantic relationship.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. Uh, since I didn't know anything, I thought maybe maybe that was part of it, but
No, I think Missy kind of teases him now that she's a woman. She kind of teases him to get under his skin sometimes, but there's nothing romantic about them.
okay. Now, the doctor asks Missy to help him fight the invasion at the end.
Hmm.
Why do you think he does that if she's the master?
Because he still loves the master and he wants her to do something good. He wants her to be redeemed. And she's also a Time Lord, so she's extremely smart and a lot more capable of being able to help. So
Mm-hmm.
if the doctor lost everybody else, he would see her as a last resort. And if the threat was against her, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and I could see them totally teaming up.
Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. All right. That was all the. Oh, I did like the shut up and get to the whale.
I wrote that down too.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
I love that line.
Because I love classic novels. I'm a huge fan of Dickens and Austen and all
Mhm.
that, but I've never been able to get through Moby Dick.
No, I haven't either. I think I started years ago, probably when I was a kid, and I don't think I ever made it through. And I think I even had an abridged version, and I never made it through the book.
Yeah, so it's funny. Yeah, that's all the notes I sort of had. Did you have some other questions?
I think we've
Since
gone through. I think we've
yeah,
gone through everything that I had.
yeah, interesting. So, if you were to give this between a 1 to 10, what would you give it?
9 out of 10.
Wow, you liked it that much, huh?
Yes, I loved it.
Holy
I love
cow.
it when I get to the end of an episode and I'm just, as the British would say, completely gobsmacked. Like my mouth was open. I was like, "Oh my word! I can't believe this." I
Interesting.
love it when that happens. I
Yeah,
love this episode.
that's cool. So Richard, he would give it a basically like a 3 out of 10. He gave it a
Okay.
1.5 out of 5, so a 3 out of 10. My rating doesn't really mean anything because I didn't really understand
Yeah.
it that much. So I don't know. I'd give it like a 6.
Okay.
But I'm sure once I see the whole arc and once I understand, uh,
Hmm.
then I'll have a more valid opinion one way or the other.
I hope that there's a good resolution coming because sometimes the first part of an arc will be the best and it'll go downhill from there. And I really hope that doesn't happen because I now have high expectations for the rest of this.
Mm. Yeah. Do you think that that Stephen Moffat will be doing the whole arc or just this part?
I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
I could look it up. I'm not completely sure. He's the showrunner, so whatever happens, it'll have his stamp on it somehow. And I sometimes he can be hit or miss, especially when he has a lot to do in a season. He's always at his best when he has one thing to focus on. Like the first few seasons, he had one episode, and those were always the best of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes he gets spread a little too thin, and I really hope
Mm.
that didn't happen this season because so far it's been mostly really great.
Okay. Yeah. One last thing from he did say Richard said in here that it reminded him of Sherlock season 4.
I haven't seen season 4
And
yet.
I hated season
Yeah, I know
4.
you told me that.
I thought it was horrible. And and I wouldn't go that far because to me, what made me really hate it was I just felt like it turned into cheap horror movie. And
Mm.
it really annoyed me. And the twists were so bad. But But anyway, so yeah, he says that I should have known the episode was written by Stephen Moffat with that execution fake out. He says, you thought the doctor was being executed, didn't you? Psych. At this point, the episode was already reminding me of Sherlock season 4, which is not a good thing. So Richard and I are on the same page when it comes to that. As
Yeah.
far as so anyway, but yeah, it's interesting. So I'll be curious to see how it all plays out, and
Mhm.
if he's able to kind of write a
Mm-hmm.
satisfying
I hope so.
arc to all of this. We'll see. I kind of now think of Stephen Moffat as the M. Night Shyamalan of TV, but hopefully
that's actually a good comparison.
yeah.
I can really see that, and I can totally see how that's great for some people and horrible for others.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, good. Well, this was fun to talk about. And so where can people find you?
Twitter, John J. North, JONJ, North like direction, and I just started a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We'll have to put the link because I don't have like a dedicated my name as a link yet.
Yeah, I will put a link down for the channel. So that's really exciting. Done 2 reviews, is that correct?
I've done 3 reviews, and I've got one more on the way. I'm hoping it'll be up later today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
I'm starting a series where I review every Alice in Wonderland adaptation because I love the story Alice in Wonderland, and they're all so completely different. I'm excited to find new versions.
That'll be awesome. I've reviewed 4 on my channel, so I've really enjoyed looking at all the different versions. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at 4 at least of the different versions. So that's cool. And Richard, if you want to follow him, he's at PRE Richard on Twitter, and like I said, I'll put his blog, Velociraptor 256, in the description section if you want to read more of what he had to say about the episode. And speaking of him, we are going to be doing on Friday, he's also kind of a aficionado of Titanic. And so he's done a series where he reviewed basically every version of Titanic. Obviously,
one.
Oh yeah, believe it or not, there's a lot. He even reviewed the Italian animated films, which are notoriously awful. So anyway, we're going to be talking about the James Cameron version on Friday, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And also on Sunday, we're going to be doing our episode of His Picks, Her Picks, which is a monthly series we do. And we are going to be talking about Time Bandits and Stardust. So we're kind of doing experimental fantasy, so it should be a lot of fun. And I think we have some different opinions on those, so it should be a fun little set to do. Also, tonight is the Survivor finale, and my friend Mark Hoban is joining me tomorrow, and we're going to dissect it and talk about it. So that's going to be really fun, too. So a lot of fun stuff happening, and but you can follow me on Smiling LDS Girl on social media, and my blog, 54 Disney Reviews. So check that out. And we'll also I'll have sometime this weekend the review of the new Pirates movie. So that should all be fun. A lot of fun stuff to look forward to.
I'm hoping I'll get a chance to get out and see the Pirates movie too, because I'd like to do a review also.
Yeah.
Just got to find some time and get somebody to go with me.
Yeah.
I don't like going to movies alone. I do it if I absolutely have to see a movie. But Pirates is not an extreme commitment for me, so I'll go if I can find somebody to go with me.
Understandable. Yeah, I just finished watching, because I had never seen 3 and 4, so and it'd been years since I'd seen 2, so I just watched them.
Both of them?
Yeah, I watched all 4 this weekend, and so that was an adventure.
Before we go, I need to show you my shirt.
Yes.
I had one that I realized after I watched the episode, I realized I've got the perfect shirt for this episode.
I have one too, see?
I love it. It's Mario as the doctor. Because there was a Mario reference in this episode of the Doctor.
Oh, nice.
Mario's the doctor and the boos as weeping angels.
Nice.
People notice that the weeping angels behave very much like the boos in Doctor Who. Or
okay.
Other way around. Weeping angels in Doctor Who behave very much like boos in Mario games.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. Cool. All right. Well, have a good rest of your day, and we will be ready to see what happens next week.
Okay. I'll see you then.